Chapter O Canada, page 25 out of 62. While drinking coffee all night, I worked on my book a little and read some of the passage of the New Testament that I hadn't read yet. By 8:30 I left my night shelter. By experience, I knew it was for some reason kind of hard to hitchhike from that spot, so instead of waiting, I decided to walk to the A&W and Petro-Canada truck stop right at the end of the bypass. I arrived there at 11:30. Why wait there? Nothing gonna get there. Just take a walk, go further, like almost 9 clicks anyway, and you're a better spot. By 1 p.m., I left the A&W and went back to my game. I rapidly obtained from a man reference 51 a short ride of a few up to the Steinbach corner. Yes, like about 10 clicks. Not long after, 2 men, reference 52, picked me up in a pickup truck. They were going to work 30 kilometers away. They were doing some brush clearing on the highway side for some road enlargement construction. When I opened the door, before getting in, the driver asked me, "Do you smoke weed?" "Of course." "Well, get in." So, when I got out, 30 kilometers later, I had a pretty good buzz on. Not long after, when the other 2 men, reference 53, picked me up, with reason they found me a little weird. I took place in the pickup truck rear seat, just enough place to sit down. The combined effects of my sleepless night and the joint ganged up on me. 15-ish minutes later into the trip, I was out like a light. I would wake up once in a while saying something that didn't make much sense and would fall right back to sleep. When they dropped me off at the McDo, it was already pitch dark. I spent the night. I lost my place. I spent the coffee drinking night there until 22:15. Strong of my last experience in Dryden a month earlier, which means October 27, I knew that there was a church not too far from there where I could find a spot to sleep close to its vicinity. But what a difference from the last time. It was quite chillier. In fact, I should rather say that this was right darn cold. Wearing my headlamps, I discovered a clearing in those woods about 100 feet behind the church. Another beautiful night under the stars awaited me. I had woke up at 7:30, out of my blanket. I realized that the real level of the cold, minus 26 degrees Celsius, said the screen at McDo. I sat and drank hot coffee while waiting. Well, guess what? Global warming ain't for today, so I left at minus 22 degrees. Many of you could say that it doesn't make sense to hitchhike at minus 22 degrees. But since I don't make much sense often, well, I do it anyway. And it works well. The proof? Well, here's the proof of it. I crossed on the other side of the road, walked 2 minutes up to the A&W entrance. I never had the time to put my backpack down that the man reference 54 stopped his pickup truck to give me a ride to Thunder Bay. I don't remember well what he had talked about. My notes are not so exhaustive about this ride. Sometimes when the discussion in between the driver of the vehicle that stops to pick me up and or its occupant and me becomes a little too personal, I do not take notes. That way, I cannot transcribe them by mistake or by accident. I written down the accident, but I said by mistake, I don't know. I'm sorry. So this man dropped me off at the Thunder Bay Salvation Army. He gave me his pack of smoke left over containing 5 or 6 cigarettes, and then he gave me also an unopened bag of jerky beef. This jerky beef will play an adequate role later down this chapter. Once inside the Salvation Army, since I had arrived too late for supper, I was given one of the plates that they always keep just in case, so I wouldn't starve until the middle of the night scheduled snack. Not too shabby. Officially, I had arrived too late for supper, but I got supper anyway. When I was admitted, I asked how long I could stay. I was told that I could clarify this the very next day when I would have to my official interview with a certain lady called Cindy. The next day after breakfast, when I met Cindy, I asked her the same question. She answered me that I could stay as long as I needed. We were talking about the reasonable length of stay, of course. I told her that I was currently broke and my backpack needed some repairs that required an industrial sewing machine before I could resume my trip. But that I was expecting a small amount of money, I guess. That I forgot to write down. I said, but I was expecting a small amount of, I don't know, my money. That would be deposited around the 9th or the 10th of December. Once that amount arrived, I would get the repair done and that I would be on my way the very next day. Perfect, everything is fine. I am admitted for at least 2 weeks. Cindy is a Salvation Army program caseworker for this center. Chapter O Canada, page 27. We got picture on the newspaper called the Chronicle Journal, the newspaper of Thunder Bay, of the Northwest. So, here what it says before, what I wrote in the picture, whatever. Tuesday, Thursday, 9th, some last preparation for the Salvation Army Christmas holidays. We were loading the last gift that would be distributed on Sunday, December 14th during a special dinner. The box that I was holding, because there's a lady stirring a pot of soup, and they're saying the second soup, the lady, her name is Kitty Campaign, no, that's the name. Elizabeth McRae. Elizabeth McRae is the cook. And on the other picture, we're loading the van, and there's the last toy, and there's like, you can put stuff together. And I say here, the box that I was holding said from 3 to 6 years old, perfect, just my age. But in fact, I think it was written 1 to 3 or something. Okay, backpack's fixed. I'm rested from the road, ready to go back at it again. And it's about time. 3 full meals plus 3 snacks a day. If I had lost a little bit of weight during the last month and a half, well, I more than likely gain it back during my 2 weeks stay here. December 11th morning, I had to leave the comfort of the Salvation Army. Cindy asked me if I wanted to wait a little while, that she would give me a ride at a good place to hitchhike. I accepted. By 11:30, Cindy Elliott, reference 55, gave me a short providential ride to a Robin Donuts. I thank her for everything, quick kiss, and let's go. But before, a last coffee, a half hour of hanging around, and then we hitch. While waiting for a ride, I opened a pack of jerky beef, and I put some in my coat pocket. At 13:35, I just opened. It was not open. I was there, I opened, I put like 3 or 4 in one pocket and 3 or 4 in the other pocket on the other side. At 13:15, Dan, reference 56, stopped. I was warmly welcomed. I was kind of welcomed warmly by Stella, his female 6 years old Labrador, and by Oak, his 2 years old Husky Retriever. He said they already fell in love with you. Showing the reason of this love at first sight, I asked him if I could give them some. Smiling, he told me yes, but not too many. Dan was going to Wawa. I reserved for him the story about the hitchhiker in Wawa that I heard for the first time in 1987 at the Vancouver Francophone Cultural Center. I was Dan's first hitchhiker. Talk about a bad luck. He had never hitched himself. He is a geologist in the Chapleau, like in a place called Chapleau, Chapleau, in Ontario, the Chapleau gold mine. In 4 months, I would say, he would finish his master's degree in geology. His thesis would be on structural control on the gold mineralization. Holy fuck. Mineralization. Mineralization. And would be done at the Borden Gold Deposit. A little later, I told him the story of the hitchhiker stuck in Wawa. The non-urban myth said that in the 70s or 80s, that it was an hitchhiker who got dropped off early in the morning in Wawa. He wasn't broke, but he was hitchhiking anyway. So he went into a restaurant, ordered a coffee and breakfast from the young, beautiful, smiling waitress. Ate, paid, went out hitchhiking. By noon, he wasn't gone yet. He went back in the restaurant and ordered lunch, still being served by the young, beautiful, and smiling waitress. Ate, paid, and went out hitchhiking. Out of luck, He was still there came supper time. So he went in for supper, served again by the young, beautiful, smiling waitress. Ate, paid, and went out checking. Once dark, he went to bed. After a good night's sleep, he had breakfast, still being served by the young, beautiful, and smiling waitress. Same thing for lunch and supper. Finally, after 2 weeks, he got himself a job and married the waitress. That was a story, but it seems that it's just a story. But I guess it's something. That's why you don't get picked up quite. That was a story, but it seems that in the 1970s or maybe the 80s, something really happened. We don't know exactly anymore by someone that it is either a hitchhiker or the one that picked him up who killed the other one. Since that day, I guess, I don't remember the hitchhiker that killed the guy or the guy that killed the hitchhiker. I don't know. I guess it's hard to get a ride from Wawa. But not for me. This is the story of my first time being stuck in Wawa. Fall 1999, I was heading back to pick apple in Ontario. I had picked cherries in the same orchard before going up to pick cherries in the Okanagan. Since I got along with the farmer, I was going back from the apple. I had 2 weeks to get from Calgary to the orchard. That's the time that it took me. I had stayed right by Tender Bay for 3 days, camped out in the bush in the pouring rain. In the morning, I got a ride to Nipigon, and then after a 2-hour wait, when a car stopped to pick me up and the driver told me he was going to Wawa, I told myself, well, we'll see what happens. Yeah, fuck, at least you're going somewhere. I don't want it. He dropped me off at the restaurant. I went to the can and got a coffee to go. On the post, I could read all the graffiti of the one that got stuck there. I never had the time to roll a cigarette. Somebody stopped and we were gonzo. Yeah. I put the backpack down, man. I put the fucking the white styrofoam cup of coffee with no lid, like 3/4 full, down in the fucking gravel. And I started rolling a cigarette and somebody stopped. So now I got a cigarette. I kind of throw the half-rolled cigarette in the pouch. And then I got to grab backpack and run to the car with the styrofoam white cup of now almost half coffee. Yep. Like that. Dan dropped me off at the Wawa 24-hour Tim Horton. Another night of drinking coffee while tranquilly working on the book. There was another but much younger hitchhiker there. He was heading west. I'm heading east and going west. Go west, young man, and go east back. Go west, young man, and go east back of broken bone. During the night, from time to time, he would doze off at his own table. Technically, we're not supposed to sleep at the table, so the night manager came a few times to tell him. The morning first light, we left together and we each set ourselves up in our respective side of the highway. Okay, it's cold, so I decided to walk. I went all the way to the last Wawa building on the highway, and I hitchhiked across from it until 11:30. Good, that building is a restaurant, the Wawa family kitchen. Well, let's go have a coffee then. I must have enough money left for that. There weren't much people when I got in the restaurant. The morning rush was over. I set my backpacks down by the table, went wash them and ordered coffee. The waitress, owner, maybe, I don't know, I put it in parentheses with like an interrogation point, asked me if I wanted something else. I glanced at the menu and up for a side of toast. I heard the waitress said, the cook, owner, he only wants toast. But by half past noon, since I was leaving, I wanted to pay. Impossible. The coffee and toast were on my house. In fact, if I would have wanted a full breakfast, that wouldn't have been a problem either. The lady told me while showing me the snack rack to just pick something if I wanted. I grabbed a bottle of water and a bag of chips. I thanked the lady. She told me that many people got stuck here and for long. She declared that with maybe a little bit of pride, here would take care of our hitchhikers. Thanks. I got tears in my eyes. I finally went out of the restaurant and started to hitchhike at 1300. Richard Lepage, reference 57, aboard his 2014 Freightliner Semi, was heading to Sudbury. Richard has hitchhiked in Ontario when younger. I was his second hitchhiker in the last 13 years. When he saw me decide to do his good deed on his last day of being 56, that it is, since he was about to turn another page of his life calendar, the next day he would be 57 years old. He dropped me off by a Walmart, Walmart equal McDo, McDo equal coffee.